Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. And this is where I like to talk about some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this time I want to talk a little bit about this little book right here, which you've probably never seen or heard of before. This is Wildman Comics and Stories number 7 from 1989 from Miller Publishing Company. And if you've never heard of Miller, you probably haven't. Miller Publishing Company was a very small little publisher from the late 80s and early 90s. And it was put out by, what was his name? Billy G. Miller and his son, I guess, worked together. They produced a lot of, or a few titles. And I guess they're, it's mostly imitation superhero stuff, and some totally original material that's just a little bit on the odd side and very, very fan-made. It's not necessarily not professional stuff, but one of the nice exceptions here is Wildman. This is Wildman versus the Rubber Robber. And Wildman is actually a humor superhero parody character created by and produced by Grass Green. And here's his wanted Rubber Roy. And Rubber Roy is actually Wildman's sidekick character, his Robin character. And here he is accused of being the villain, and it shows Wildman stomping the crap out of him. And it is kind of funny. And with the Miller Publishing Company, probably some of the best known stuff was something I hadn't heard of before, was John Dar. And they had a couple of John Dar series. John Dar, and had 3 or 4 issues of that, I guess, and then sometime later had John Dar Returns and 3 or 4 issues of that, and completely changed his backstory. And I only know that because the boys at Power Comics on the YouTube channel, Power Comics, that's the kind of stuff that they just focus on, and their big hero is John Dar there. And which is where I first heard of her. I had picked up a few issues of Wildman. They also had an anthology title called Trial Run, and I actually had 2 stories published in that. And of course, like I said, it's all really fan produced, because my payment for my contributions was a free copy of the book, which for some reason those issues that I was in, and I cannot find them anywhere. I've always kept them, but for some reason all the few books that I had stuff printed in have gone missing. And I don't know why. See, this cartoonist is grass green. But he has a long career in comics himself. Oh, and before I talk about that, I wanted to um, give you a little shout out for another new little uh, YouTube channel that I've recently discovered, and they're kind of doing some of the stuff like a little like I do, going through the comic and talking about the stories and stuff. And this is Comicsed. That's the name of the channel, Comicsed. It is with two M's and an X. So it's COMMIXED YouTube channel. In Grass Green. And he was born from 1939 and passed away in 2002. But he was born Richard Edward Green. And I'm sure there's a story about how he got the name Grass in there. But I don't know it. And he is an American cartoonist who is historically notable for being the first Black American cartoonist who was active in the fan art scene of the 60s, as well as the underground comics of the 70s. And his work is noted for being Kurtzman-like humor and parody, which shows up here in this book. In 1967, he broke into professional comics by working for Charlton Comics on The Shape with Roy Thomas, as well as some humor series. And his 70s underground period featured work in Super Soul Comics. Then he had the series of Wildman and Rubberoy, running in various various publishers. And in the 90s, he did stuff for the Adult Eros comics line. And another series he did for decades was, see if this is pronounced right, Jalcor, the Human Cat, which I've seen and I may have had an issue of, but I'm not positive on that. But I have had some of his more adult stuff over the from the those old days, and he is a funny artist. And his style is, well, it's humorous. It's both kind of fan looking, but yeah, it still has a certain professional qualities to it. So let's take a little look at Wildman and Rubberoy. Okay, there's Wildman and Rubberoy. Pounding the crap out of Rubberoy. And here's on the back cover. It's almost like an advert. Yet another Wildman pin-up page. Wanted Rubberoy. Now, if I can get it open. Okay. Wildmania has his letters page and talking about stuff. We'll start right off of that splash page. And while it is parody, it is largely done a lot like the Silver Age superhero comics. Of course, and it starts right off. See, in this, especially here, the layout and the way this stuff is shown here is very, very reminiscent of Harvey Kurtzman. Even the way Help is written there is Kurtzman-esque. And it is very, the timing, the pacing is very Kurtzman-esque. Now, but at some points, his stylization, like you see right in the face right there. And so, well, this is very Kurtzman-esque, like from Mad, is also, the actual art stylization is very reminiscent of, to my eye anyway, of Jack Kirby from the 40s and early 50s period. Just something in the general stylization, but the storytelling is very much like Kurtzman. Here's someone yelling for help. They go check it out, and it turns out it's someone who's been robbed, and immediately he accuses the sidekick Rubber Roy of doing it, and they start kicking Rubber Roy's butt. And they're both stomping on Rubber Roy. Said, wasn't me, ouch, 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 ouch. That's it, Wally. Get on his case. Ooh. It's all funny in there. Everyone's stomping, and all these call the cops, and they start pounding the crap out of Rubber Roy. Haul him off to jail. Well, of course, he can easily slip out of the bars, but they stand around there with guns. And he stays in jail. And all these other people had accused Rubber Roy of robbing them too. And it turns out, here we see the actual villain. He's got this little gizmo that gives him really extended legs. It's not real, and it makes people think, because of the stretchiness, make them think of Rubber Roy. But it's not. Here he's pulling one more heist, and he gets caught in the middle of it because he was doing the last couple of heists he did was while Rubber Roy was in custody, and they stomp his butt, or try to. In the process, this guy really kind of like cleans their clock, and the pages are sticking together. Here we go. And after a heated battle, they finally get him. But in the process, well, Rubber Roy himself defeats the guy. Well, he kept missing Rubber Roy. He wound up accidentally kicking the crap out of Wildman, and you can see his fat black eye, fat lip, all the bandages and stuff. Then I had a second story. This is kind of fun too. And this is one that really looks a lot like his Jack Kirby, old Jack Kirby art. Little Mites of Mischief. Splash panel. These little tykes. Youngsters, about 12-year-old kids or so, and they're just wreaking total havoc. Here's this scientist in his laboratory conducting some kind of experiment, but he likes to eat candy while he's conducting his experiment. The phone rings, startles him. He accidentally drops his scientific potion of whatever it is on this. Spills it on the candy, so it ruins it. He throws the candy out, and of course the kids are out there in the alley. They see him throwing the stuff in the trash. Well, looks like perfectly good candy to me, just a little wet. So they go to eat it, and they're walking down the street. Another friend, oh yeah, it has some stuff. Then the bully shows up, and he takes the candy away from him. They're all scared of him, and he gets the last piece or two of candy, and then he demonstrates, threatening them he'll strangle them, and it turns out he can he's super strong. He can crush the metal of that lamppost. And they find, oh, how does he get so strong? And then they discover they're all strong. Super strong, durable. And so while the bully, now they go, well, if we're all strong, that means we can show this bully what for. So now it's a battle, superpowered battle between brats, the bully and the kids who are bullied, and in the process they just wreaking havoc, tearing down the city, picking up the motorcycle, tossing cars around, all kinds of property damage. And then they were on patrol was Wildman and Rubber Roy. They get there just as the kids, the kids turn stuff up, and they said, well, that's too powerful. What are we going to do? Said, we'll try to use our brains, our wits. And he tries to talk to the boys. Hey, listen here, you can really see. It looks like the very old 1940s Jack Kirby style, if you look real closely at it. And that doesn't work. That right there too really looks like it. Until finally, the boys' their powers run out. They're not suddenly don't have the strength anymore. And okay, it's fine. We're going to be buds. I'll even buy you a soda. This is the bully saying this. Grabs them all, and then I'm going to pound you into the dirt because he's the bully again. And then, it's great. It's all stopped. Here, you look at that hand. That is an all Kirby hand right there. And then the cops get there. And they accuse Wildman and Rubber Roy of causing all this havoc. And they get hauled off while the boys are going off. So no one comes out ahead on here except for the bully. And then it ends up with a house ad for another title, Banyan of the High Fortress, which is another book that the guys at Power Comics have talked a little bit about. And this cover looks real familiar to me too. So I either remember seeing it on the stands or I may have had it, but otherwise it doesn't. And I kind of wish I had some more of these. But when money was tight and the market was being flooded with all kinds of small independent black and white books, that was when they had a black and white glut right then. You can't get all you want, and you have to be a bit more selective. Get the stuff that you really want, even though later I'd like to have had more of this stuff. But this is good, clean fun. And Grass Green, I enjoyed his work, even though I never got to see a whole lot of it. I really liked his Wildman, and some of the other stuff that I can't place right now. So that's what I've got for you this time. Thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you're old enough, do you remember this black and white glut from the 80s? And all the tiny little publishers that popped up right and left, usually just publishing one or two issues or one or two titles for a short period of time. And they had some little gems in there. I think this is one of the gems. But they're all cool, especially in retrospect, as a part of comics history, and especially all these fan produced things. If you had the ability to actually finish a book and had the money to get the thing published and distributed, well, that's good for you. If you get your stuff out there, because this was definitely a labor of love. So please comment on all of that aspect. What does of the independent books from this period do you remember? Or maybe you still have them. Let me know. Leave a comment on that. Thank you for joining me. And remember, comics are art.